we're going to call this meeting to order here at 5 o'clock. Obviously, the meeting tonight is the annual members meeting. The purpose of this meeting is the election of new directors for 2024. Obviously, this is the first year. Obviously, we have a petition ballot. And so tonight, those who have not voted, in the back, you may collect a ballot from Kirby. The ballot is to be completed and returned to Kirby by 5:30, as is any written questions. If anyone has a question that they would like, we'd also like to get questions in by that time period as well. So that's how we'll start the meeting here. I will go through here introductions for everybody who may not know everybody, but here on the left-hand side at the far end is Dennis Smith, who's head of men's golf. We have Mark Cook, who's head of our Greens Committee. Linda Ross, who's head of our Tennis Committee. Peggy Morawski, who's head of women's golf and mixed golf. Doug Carlson, who is treasurer. I think everybody knows Todd Shallon. Julia Smith, vice president, membership. Kathleen Lucier, communications. Jeanette Hall, head of social. And at the far right is Michael Latif. He's our board's counsel and has been invited tonight to help oversee the meeting and verify the voting process and verification. The meeting will start. I have some remarks that I'm going to read, followed by Todd. And then we're going to have each of the directors give a brief report. And following after the completion of our reports, we will open up for our Q&A that we've gotten questions so far. I think there's maybe close to 15 questions already submitted. If there are other questions to be submitted as we've requested, it would be through written format and brought up to or handed back to Kirby and or Cody here. Everybody, our intent is obviously to have the ballot count and voted verified by the end of this meeting. And so that's what the purpose will be for getting the vote count done and announcement of the election of the new officers. Could you write it? Well, go ahead, Peter. Go ahead. What question would you like to ask?
It's okay. We'll
We'll repeat the question. It wasn't a ballot, you mean the proxy. Right. So the question is related to the proxy that was sent out by the board with the original regular slate that was recommended by the board. Because of the unusual year with the number of directors to be elected and to get us back onto a cycle, the board with this had determined that we would pick or we would select and determine what our terms would be, assuming that the slate would be elected. Now, we don't know what the vote is at this point in time. We don't know who will be the final selection of directors. I would say if the slate that has been given by the board, that would be, if that slate was the elected board, then yes, to your question, those terms would remain. Regarding any new terms or any new directors, I think we'll leave up to the new board coming in to decide. So if there's any other than that slate, the new board will determine what the terms are, because we want to stay on the 3x3x3. Yeah. So
It's not consistent with the bylaw.
okay. So we did that for the 6 that were on the slate. We did it to follow that. Obviously, I will personally say that if I was reelected, I would certainly honor what I have said. I'm only looking to seek a 1-year term. But I think any new director and new board would need to determine if there's any changes than what the slate that was put forth. So with that, we'll go forward. As I say, 2023 was a busy year for this board. Many of you know I did not start the year as club president, but it was elected to serve out Paul Turner's office term this past August due to his resignation. Prior to this, I was chair of the tennis committee. Though my lens concerning the board's duties are limited to the past 3 years, I can say with confidence that your 2023 board has performed as well as any other board I have been associated with or interacted with in recent memory. This board's commitment to supporting the growing committee work, event planning, membership interviews, as well as special meetings that were held were considerable, and they should be applauded for their service to the membership. This past year, the board's budget was $158,000 for the various activities and events which were planned and executed by the committee chairs, their volunteers, and our wonderful and dedicated resort staff. Between social, golf, and tennis committees, the board organized over 75 plus events for our membership. During the past 4 years, the number of events have grown roughly about 30% compared to the previous 4-year period. And our efforts continue to grow as we wish to add other events for other activities, for example, pickleball, or other demographics within the club, younger members and families. During the past year, the board has also had some challenges too. We recognize there is a considerable number of members who feel that the board has not been sufficiently tough with management and looking out for our rights and interests. However, during these past months, we have achieved an open, constructive, yet firm relationship with management, and that is the posture we believe is the best way to reach decisions with management that protect and maximize the benefits for membership over time. I think Todd would agree that there has been mistakes on both sides this past year concerning communication, and he has stated that he wants to work with us going forward. We also believe that clarity and updated procedures for member and resort use of golf courses and other facilities will be very beneficial to membership. The current documents which govern our relationships, rules, and usage of facilities are outdated. Resort management and the board have agreed to work together on all accords. Our goal is to protect and to expand upon the agreement by providing clarity as to the duties and obligations of both parties. Shared interests between parties have been and will continue to be the key for a mutual successful relationship between the parties. Much has changed within our Silverado membership during recent years: COVID, fire, even ownership. 28% of our membership are less than 5 years. 48% of our membership are under 10 years of tenure. The board must represent and work with all members, and I believe your 2023 board has met this objective. Thank you.
I got one. Thanks, Jeff. For those of you that I have not met, I'm Todd Shallon, Managing Director here at the resort and also Secretary of the Board. I'm a non-voting member of the board. I take notes. Well, actually, Kirby takes notes. I approve those notes, and I'm also responsible for the election process, which we'll be undergoing tonight. We've got 480 roughly associates in the resort, and we have an amazing team. Quite a few of them are here tonight, and I want to recognize a few of them if I can. Obviously, we've got Kirby and Abby in the back doing the ballot selection. Couldn't do it without them. David Karam is in the back there, our golf operations manager. We've got Michael Butler's in the back, associate golf professional. My personal bodyguard, as well as director of agronomy. So anybody gets out of hand, you're going to answer to David, David Walter. We do have our director and assistant director of loss prevention, Ken and Isaac in the back. And then, and that's just in case Mr. Weckerlin decides to get out of hand. So I just wanted to, you know, I'm watching you, Glenn. And of course, Cody Sherrill, who's our director of club and golf. So these people coordinate with all of our team, our food and beverage team, our resort team, the golf team, the agronomy team, to make things, to really, our goal is to make things better. I've got a few things to say. Those of you that may know me probably realize that I'm not short on words, so please bear with me. I've got a few pages. I need my glasses because I am getting old as well. So I'm pleased to present an update to the membership for 2023. Overall, yeah, thank you. Overall, management and ownership are pleased with the progress we have made in upgrading various components of the resort infrastructure and of the service and the quality of the offering at the resort. From the staffing perspective, so we've hired 156 staff members and 21 managers this year to bring us to that approximately 480 staff. Our average tenure is 7.8 years. We hired new food and beverage management in the mansion, the grill, and at the pool bar. And of course, the culinary team that we hired last year is still with us, between Chef Patrick, Devin, who's our pastry chef and also oversees the market, and Sam, who oversees our banquet areas. Specific to the club, we brought back Devin Raymond and we promoted Michael Butler, both to associate golf professionals. We're thrilled to have them on board. We hired a new South Course superintendent who starts next week. And those of you that remember Kyle, who was our North Course superintendent, got promoted and is now running someplace in San Jose. I can't remember the name, but we're really, what's that? Silver Creek Valley Country Club. Thank you. So Kyle's down there now, and we had a going away for him last week. And then Jeremy's going to move from the South Course to the North Course. He's done a great job on the South Course and is really up to the task there. We promoted Kirby to membership operations manager this year. And then we added Abby Wida to her team. And as I mentioned last year, we have Troon under contract through the first quarter of 2025. And one of the things that the resort staff works really hard on is community involvement. And just last week, it was announced that we won the California Hotel and Lodging Association Best Community Service Hotel in California. So our team's very proud of that. And it shows the efforts of what we do both in the local Napa community and in even greater community, and how much our staff cares about what happens where they live as well. Since our acquisition, we've invested over $13 million in the resort. You see a lot of that happening. We've done upgrades to the market, the kitchen, new golf carts. That gives us a lot of information, which I'll talk to in a minute. We've repaired ponds and fountains. We've done new maintenance equipment for both courses. And if the vendors would actually deliver stuff within 2 years, we might have a full complement of that, but that's out of our hand. We resurfaced all the tennis courts. We added pickleball courts. We'll be resurfacing them again next year. Upgrades of both the main and spa pools. New concrete cart paths. 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 And I always like to address rumors. So the rumor was that the tournament wanted us to do that or they were going to pull out. That is false. The tournament doesn't actually care what our cart paths look like because they walk the course. But it was actually a conversation that I had with our CEO when he was here for the tournament. And he went out and played on the North Course and said, your cart paths really suck. I said, you bought the thing, I didn't. And so we agreed to accelerate our 5-year plan. And when we bid it out, the price differential between asphalt and concrete was de minimis. And so we chose to do the concrete. And I think David's got almost 10 holes done. And man, they look better than any of us ever thought they would. So we're really happy about that. We've resurfaced parking lots. We've done golf course signage. We started Monday of remodeling the conference center, which you will certainly benefit in functions that you do over there. But that space is going to look beautiful and really needed as well. We've got a bunch of new things for the pool coming up, cabanas, and we're going to get that Airstream trailer up and running for food service for the spring, whether I need to kill somebody at the county or not, but we will get it done. We renovated the grill. We've done a bunch of tree work. We have some more fire-wise and wildfire mitigation work that we're going to do over the next couple of months. And then next year, we've got some new furniture coming into the mansion bar and terrace, additional golf course maintenance equipment. We're going to do a bunch of irrigation work on the courses, repair and reseal the tennis courts. We're going to replace a bunch of roofs that are wood shake roofs, and new Wi-Fi throughout the resort. So lots of new enhancements coming next year. By the end of 2024, we will have invested and finished our $20 million target of investment in the resort. So it was a 3-year plan. We're on that plan, and I think all of you would agree that we're all really happy with what we see so far, and we're going to continue going that direction. And then thank you. And we continue to work hard on improving the member and guest experience with new training programs, new menus and food quality upgrades, new wine and cocktail programs, food in the mansion bar, and additional programming up here in the member clubhouse. And we'll continue to enhance that, working with the social committee here in the membership area. We've accomplished other things as well. We added services and experiences, such as music in the mansion bar each week. We've expanded our holiday celebrations. I hope everybody agrees that the tree lighting and the Hanukkah menorah lighting celebrations were far better this year. The decorations are better. It is actually amazing when you hire an outside company to do decorations, how much better they do than I love our engineers, but they're engineers. And then we've implemented a really successful winemaker dinner series where we average between 30 and 40 each month. Tonight we have Penfolds in as well. We hosted the Blue Note Jazz Festival, which was a resounding success for the attendees at the festival, and it also helped introduce our resort to a more diverse audience, not so familiar with Napa. For others, we do recognize that it wasn't something that they were excited about or maybe even hated. And we understand that, and we are certainly here to listen to that. Also, we hosted another very successful PGA Tour Fortinet Championship with a new course layout, additional F&B retail offerings. And again, we note that we did make the change of parking on the South Course, and we recognize that some people were not happy about that as well. Others felt that it was fine, but the actual fan experience and people that were utilizing that parking thought it was the best thing ever, and we're really excited about that. We will be hosting the golf tournament again in 2024, similar timing. We're excited to continue that relationship with Sport5, Fortinet, and the PGA Tour. Please don't ask me what's going to happen after 24 because I have no idea, nor does the PGA Tour. And then I will note that we will not be hosting the Blue Note Jazz Festival next year or in the future. It's really because of we could not agree on dates. They wanted a certain weekend. We were already booked. I wasn't going to move a bunch of business that we had on the books. I wasn't going to change. The weekend they wanted, we had the men's golf tournament annual was that weekend. We just weren't going to do it. So we agreed to move on, and we canceled that contract. So we won't be having. Do not clap. I'm looking at you, Marlene. So we will not be hosting that. So further on, there's questions about monopolizing the golf course with music, which I'm not sure how we define monopolizing, but we won't be doing the Blue Note Jazz Festival on the driving range next year. So to the point, some of the comments that our esteemed president made, we also learned that we need to do a better job of communicating. So the mea culpa, right, on me. I think we can say things more in advance. We can give we can talk about things even if we don't have detail. I believe that when we communicate, we want to be able to answer the questions that we know you're going to have. And sometimes we don't have that, so we've defaulted to waiting. We won't do that in the future as much, but understand that if we announce something, we might not be able to answer all your questions, but at least you'll know about it. So I think that, that's going to take some learning on both of our parts. But I've committed that to the board. I committed it to a smaller group of members that were in a meeting in October, and we will live by that. But I will commit to working with your board to ensure that our plans are definitely more timely in the communication. So I want to move on to a couple of things. I like data. I like to talk about statistics. And I'm going to give you some statistics. So bear with me because I got a whole bunch, and I got a PowerPoint presentation that I don't want to make you go through. But if you want some color charts, they're really pretty. This year, we are going to have approximately 58,000 rounds of golf on both golf courses in 2023. That is an occupancy. I'm a hotel guy, so I use occupancy, but that is 37% of the available tee times that we have throughout the year. So 37% have been utilized, which also means that 63%, if my math is correct, are unutilized. 40% on the north were utilized and 34% on the south. June through August were the busiest months, averaging 52% of available times used. The busiest times of the week are 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., Monday, Friday, and Saturday, ranging from 53% to 69% of tee times available utilized. Of the total rounds, 51% were member related. And when I say member related, I mean unlimited golf memberships, using that, and then also guests of members, so the member related. So both of those categories are 51%. 49% would be resort or local. Of the total rounds, resort guests and group were 29%. That's consistent with previous years. Sorry, I missed something. The 51% of member rounds is slightly below 2022 and 2021, way below 2020, but I think everybody knows because of COVID that was a very unique year. And then of total rounds outside tournaments, which we would call local tournaments, were 7%. And then reciprocal rounds, which could be Troon or other Napa Valley Country Club, et cetera, were 7% of those rounds. And then the highest number of rounds on record was 1991, where we had 454 rounds. Now, that's obviously different. I think back then they were allowing the public to play on the golf course. That changed a few years back with previous ownership. And we are at the 57,000, almost 58,000 now. Over 1,000 member rounds were recorded as no-shows, or about 5% of the member rounds booked. Those no-shows, the majority of those were in the 9 a.m. to 11 timeframe. On the topic of resort and local groups, by definition, we call a resort group an average of 50% of those people staying in the resort. We did 151 resort groups at an average of 47 players each for 7,000 rounds. Local groups are focused on need periods, which we try to do primarily in the off season, so October through April. We had 110 local groups this year. Average player count was 35 for about 3,800 rounds. And we had 36 groups that played on the non-member course on weekends before 1 p.m. And truly, this only affects resort guests as they are booked on the resort play course. We had 5 double course buyouts that happened in 2023. The value of those groups was over $300,000 for the resort. That's an important source of revenue for the resort. And over the past decade, the resort and previous boards have at least tacitly approved that on an annual basis, that we did not change that process. We've had anywhere between 3 and 6 over the last decade. Currently, we have 4 of these on the books for 2024, 3 of those are on Mondays or Wednesdays. One is on a Friday. And once we have those contracted, I commit to you that we will give you months in advance notice of when those are coming. The golf courses were closed for all play on 8 days each for aerification, while the other course was open and available for member and guest play. The North course was dedicated to the Fortinet Championship for 16 days and unavailable to members for that duration. The South course was reduced to 9 holes for 4 days during that tournament, otherwise available for members. The driving range was closed for 17 days during the Jazz Festival, and as I mentioned, that will not occur in 2024. And lastly, the pace of play averaged 4 hours and 20 minutes on the North and 4 hours and 11 minutes on the South, and that is below our target goal of 4 hours and 21 minutes. Now, we recognize that that may vary day to day and week to week, but we do now have the ability to monitor that with data from the GPS that we have on each of our rental carts. Now, those of you that have your own member carts, we can't monitor you, so we're leaving it up to you to make sure you're adhering to the pace of play. And we do ask that our player assistants are trying to keep things to move along. And I think as an average, certainly there are days where it's slower and certainly there are days where it's faster. But those averages came up over, I believe it was monitored over 25,000 rounds. So that's pretty good data for that number of rounds. And then lastly, I already turned the page, so I apologize, I'm taking too long. Membership is critical to the success of the resort, and I want to give the members the best possible experience when you're here. I want to be clear about our intentions because I've heard a lot of different things, and I'm the only one that I believe can say what our intentions are. Our first intention is to strive to improve the experience for members and the guests, both from a physical plant perspective and a service and quality viewpoint. Secondly, we are also here to make money. I've never said we're a nonprofit organization. We are here to make a profit, and we want to make a profit so that we can continue to reinvest in the resort. I've heard from numerous members that they want ownership to prosper, but not take away members' rights. And I want to be clear. We have no intention of taking rights away of any members. Any statements to the contrary are falsehoods. So with that, I want to say sincerely thank you for being members. We appreciate you. Our staff appreciates you. Our ownership appreciates you. I don't think they would have put that much money into Golf Cart Pass if they didn't. And we hope to continue to create experiences that you and your families are proud of. So thank you. Sorry I went so long.
Thank you, Todd. Now we'll receive report from Doug Carlson from Treasury, and then followed by Julia Smith on membership.
Thank you. As treasurer, my primary job is to take care of the member activity fund that we all pay into at the beginning of the year. It comes to about $146,000. And over the course of the year, we typically spend, $12,000 to $13,000 a month. The trend line this year was very normal. We started the year with almost $100,000 in reserves, and very deliberately we decided that we would eat through some of those reserves this year because we really don't need that much. It was built up during the COVID period when we were spending less. So we're probably going to end the year at about $75,000 to $85,000 in reserves. Had I known what the stock market would be like this past month, I would have put it all in the market, but I did protect the downside. So the bottom line is we're in very good shape financially in terms of the amount and the liquidity of the funds that we have. Thank you.
Doug, I know everybody loves your numbers and you're such a great financial guy. I'm going to sneak back here. Got to get me up. But these are the people really like to hear. Membership. I have a PowerPoint. Absolutely, I have a PowerPoint. I love statistics too. For those of you who don't know me, Tammy and I moved here about 12 years ago. Thank you, Christine and Paul and the Leasties and others. So we're excited. I'm excited to give you our membership summary report. I'm going to try to do better than my friend Mark Lyman did last year. Are you watching TV? He's not here today, I can say that. Okay. I'm ready for the first slide. You guys are ready too. Okay, here's a summary of our membership classification. So these are the numbers that we're all interested in. So the most important one is at the top, and that's the 500 limit that's in the bylaws for full golf privileges. We're right at 499. We've been continuously up and down around that number and have not exceeded that over this year. And that includes, as you can, it explains, it includes all the resident invitational, corporate invitational, junior execs, non-resident, and legacy. So those are the golfers here at the club. Second, we have 138 non-golf participants currently in our membership. And we continue to have 40 junior execs, which is also the cap, with 9 folks on the waiting list. And, you know, it's sort of a tricky number, but I hope, sorry if anybody wants to take this, but we're estimating that those folks won't clear to potentially 2026 or a little later. So it all just sort of depends on the cap. We currently have 81 invitational members, and there's a cap of 100 of that. And of course, we've had some good trends there. We did start into a wait list in July of last year and maintained that wait list through October. At one point, we had 7 folks or so on the wait list that eventually cleared because of the dynamics of the club, people inactivating, moving away and such. So we do have 81. The spoiler alert is we are down 2.7% if you want to move to the next slide, and a decline versus last year. So we do have 18 folks deficit for where we were last year. And that gives you a breakdown by classification, which again is defined in our bylaws. And you can run through that. One of the ones we continue to see declines in the resident membership category, increases in non-resident invitational. We're pretty flat across on corporate, junior exec, legacy, and declines in social, out-of-state, and flat in senior non-participating. Thank you. So we've been active. I know a lot of you guys have seen us over here doing interviews in the clubhouse, and we interview every one of our applicants. We also check their applications and their background checks, et cetera. Some really great people have joined us this year. 31 applicants. So that's quite a few folks that we've had interviews with. 22 have been approved for activation. And then we have 9 that were approved for waitlist. Of those, we also had 12 members that were inactivated over periods of time, and a lot of different classifications that you can read for yourself of those 22 that we've activated. We started tracking demographics a few years ago. I know when we joined, this wasn't one of the slides that was tracked. So it's some pretty interesting data that we have. We now have an average age of all members of 65. We have a median, which is the median value across all of the ages of our members of 68. And then the value that appears most often is 76. Now, why is this changing? Well, as you can see real clearly, we've got 26 people that have joined that are 60 and below. And then we have about 15 to 20 people that are in that category of 60 and above. So we are getting younger and we are getting more diverse. So my summary is very similar to what our friend Mark Lyman said last year. We are a vibrant community and we're changing. Our average age continues to be younger, more families and more family events. Our resident members have declined over the last, since 2012, since I moved here, 30%. And now residents represent less than 30% of the Silverado development area. Bad for SPOA. New non-resident membership continues to increase. We're up 34% since 2012, and our social members continue to decline as well. There's probably a good opportunity for us in the future, especially with all the social events that we have. We have seen some stabilization, even though we had a decline this year of 18 versus last year over the last few years. Of course, we all know we had that little bump in 2020. And now I think not only is Silverado seeing that, but other golf clubs are seeing a stabilization of their memberships. So we need to really understand the trends and change what we want to offer to the new membership, whether it's the family events, whether it's the couples event, couples golf event. So we're trying to adjust and adapt any of our activities and events to reflect our membership. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. If there's any ballot that hasn't been turned in, please turn it in now. So just wanted to make that note. Voting is closed. Turn your ballot in to Kirby if you haven't yet. Thank you. Next up is Tennis Committee. Linda Ross, followed by Social, Jeanette Hall.
Okay. I wanted to start by sharing that there was a study done recently through the Mayo Clinic. It was done by Copenhagen City Heart Study, and it was published in the Mayo Clinic Proceedings. They followed over 9,000 people over 25 years, and they found that playing tennis adds 9.7 years to your life. They also said if you have not already taken up tennis, it's not too late. So wanted to get that out there. As for 2023, it was a busy year with tennis. I took over in August and hit the ground running. And here's a recap of the year. The beginning of the year started off kind of rainy, so the pros had to cancel some events, but were able to add some pop-up events in the beginning of the year when the weather cooperated. Katie Delich, our head pro, was selected to speak at the United States Professional Tennis Association World Conference in Orlando. She spoke about running tennis camps. She was also selected to be on a panel at the USTA NorCal convention in October. John Weston, our assistant pro, was a contender for the Redlands University Athletic Hall of Fame. The pros ran 5 adult tennis camps, 10 weeks of junior golf, tennis, swim camps, a Thanksgiving junior golf and tennis camp, 17 round robins, 12 of them were themed, 7 added classes and events during Thanksgiving, 3 weekly drills, 2 weekly live ball sessions, 2 Wilson demo days, and fundraised $35,000 for a Maui fire victim. Between Jeff and myself and our tennis committee, we put on a member round robin every month. Plus, we held twilight tennis round robins during the summer months, followed by a social for the members afterwards. We close out tennis this Saturday. We have a round robin at 10, and then we have a brunch here in the members clubhouse afterwards. We have 4 day league teams now playing tennis here. 3 of them are new. They run competitive matches in the fall and then start up again in the spring. They are a combination of members and non-members. And I don't think she's here, but thank you to Darla Flanagan because she is heading up. She's the rep for these day leagues. We also have an active and growing pickleball community here. I created a pickleball committee. Yay. I created a pickleball committee recently to help me facilitate events and learn a little bit more what pickleball players are looking for. Jeff had a social for them in July with 30 plus members in attendance. And then I just had one this past Sunday after open play, and we had about 20 members stay afterwards and snack on the food. The pros also offered with pickleball 3 beginner classes and 1 camp. We hope to have more of that in 2024. John Weston is certified in pickleball and is available for lessons. And going forward, we have more of the same for both tennis and pickleball. And I hope to add more events and social activities, kind of dependent on the feedback that I get from our players. That's it.
Jeanette?
Hi. Well, in case you didn't know, I've been in charge of bringing joy and community to our membership. Yes, we have fun. Woo! This year, we had some new ideas producing great events, thanks to a fabulous social committee. Their talents and creativity provided us with the best crab feed ever, the most amazing wines from our wine tastings, a Margaritaville, the country showdown with line dancing, and a murder mystery dinner. We had the best children festivals and brunch ever, including a special Easter bunny, cookie decorating, a carnival with prizes, trains to ride, and a Santa, and much more. A huge thank you to our social committee, and that is Robin Nakamura, Jean Sakahara, Mary Hudson, Patty Carter, Tersilla Gregory, and Kirby Hoffman, and Abby Weeda. Thank you so much. It was a fabulous year. The last 2 years, Kirby brought her creativity with decorations and ideas that elevated our events to a new level. The best social chair support partner ever. Abby has been a gift to the members, assisting us from making caramel apples to doing crafts for our children during the music on the green. And the most challenging job on the committee, Tersilla, keeping our financials in order along with reminding us how much we could spend. We've brought the membership, our community of all ages together with the introduction of Music on the Green in the summer and Diners Club in the members clubhouse. This year, we introduced an amazing concert in the Grove. Hope next year you can all come. This was achieved by the talented and hardworking staff, Cody, Cheryl, Tony Monaco, Chef Patrick Prager, Kirby, Abby, and all the staff at the MCH and banquets. Thank you. It's truly been my honor to be your social chair for the past 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeanette. Next up, Peggy Morawski, women's mixed golf.
There we go. Well, I'm in charge of mixed golf and I also work with women. It's women's golf. Oh, hold it closer. There we go. So in mixed golf, there are 12 events a year. 7 of the events are 9 and dines. 5 of the events are couples challenges, 18-hole events. So they are a little more challenging, but the participation has been kind of low for them this year. I don't know if, I think historically they're lower, but anyway, the 9-hole events are very appealing to a wide variety of golfers. Twilight style golf with dinner and drinks to follow. And we try to make each event sort of challenging and a game that they can play and get to know other people that are on their team. The 18-hole challenges determine the Silverado Club Championship event. That happens in the middle of the summer. This year, Dee Dee and Michael Monet were the low gross winners, and the low net winners were Julia and Tammy Smith. So congratulations to them. Again, with the help of the golf staff, the 2024 mixed golf events have already been developed. We're working on a schedule that would include a later start time for the Sunday events, because that was one of the major complaints that I had about non-participation, was that they were too early in the morning on Sunday. So we're going to try to make them a little bit later this year. One of the challenges was the last 9 and dine was very well attended. We had a great time, but it got dark. So we're going to make that one just a little bit earlier. And, you know, I really welcome any suggestions for types of play that you would enjoy and types of challenges as a golfer you would enjoy. Thanks. As far as women's golf, we had a really wet start, just like Linda was saying about tennis. The wet start caused us to keep canceling events, but we eventually caught up to all our big tournaments got completed. And so we had a really fun year. It just was a slow start because of all the rain. When the sun finally came out, we really worked really hard, and Michael Butler worked with us to help us develop the schedule and keep changing it. We managed 2 cross-country events. They were new. We wanted more challenge, more variety on the course. They were a lot of fun. We had an invitational in May. It was sold out the first week, and it was fantastic and lots of fun. And then we had a mini invitational in October, and that was also sold out really quickly. I just encourage you to come out and play golf and mixed golf. We have so much fun, and there's prize money. Oh, I forgot. I want to mention the Striking Ladies. The Striking Ladies are a fun, energetic group who put on lots of really nice social experiences. Thank you for the applause, because they deserve it. They work really hard. But the nicest thing about the Striking Ladies is they create an environment where the golfers can come out and enjoy themselves in a non-threatening way. And Kayla Walter, you're standing back there. She worked really, really hard with the women's groups this year to help us coordinate. So anyway, I just wanted to mention them. Thank you.
Thank you, Peggy. Dennis Smith, golf, followed by Mark.
Hello. Good evening. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. I would personally like to thank all of you for coming out tonight and expressing your thoughts and opinions concerning the Silverado membership. These views are a prime concern to your board of directors, and we value your input. My name is Dennis Smith, and I'm the board member in charge of men's golf. Before I get to the report, I'd like to thank KSL Capital Partners and your professional golf staff, Cody Sherrill, David Karam, Michael Butler, Devin Raymond, Kirby Hoffman, Tony Monaco, and David Walter, for all of the assistance that they provide us throughout the year. When planning these tournaments, we rely on their services for everything from rules interpretation, scoring, to food, banquet, communication of these events, and certainly course conditions. I can always count on these professionals to provide us with any assistance we need to run the golf tournament smoothly. Thank you, lady and gentlemen. This year has been one of the most contentious years that I've witnessed in my 27 years here as a member of Silverado. We, the Silverado membership, have seen the large investments the new ownership, KSL Capital Partners, has invested in the course and facilities. Items such as basic course maintenance equipment, air conditioning, paving, carts, paths, and remodeling of the mansion and restaurants are certainly large investments. These improvements and the costs that go with them have all been appreciated by many of the membership. We realize that it benefits the membership and ownership as well. The controversy that seems to lie within a large body of the Silverado members is that our rights to the golf courses and facilities are being diminished. Their concerns as to our access to golf courses, driving ranges, clubhouse facilities, and main concerns. These additional events, such as concerts and parking cars on the golf course, have also caused an uproar within the membership. Fortunately, this is America, and dissension is allowed, even if not easy to accept. This is our way forward to improve communication between our friends at KSL Capital Partners and the members of Silverado, to address and improve every item, be it large or small, that we can continue to make Silverado Resort what we have known and loved over the years. Make no mistake, your Silverado Board of Directors hears both sides of the dissension, and we will always look out for the rights of our membership. Now on to the report. I believe this year was a successful year for men's golf. We played 13 golf events with a total of 605 total player enrollment in the tournaments. This is an increase of 23% participation over the prior year's 491. While being pleased with the growth level of the participation, I'm always looking for improvements and changes that will increase for future member satisfaction. I plan on sending out a survey this year to members to gather their input on what their priorities and preferences are as to our golf tournaments. I'll be looking for any improvements that we can make for next year, looking at ranking of the level importance of the items, such as cost, food, beverages, prices, prizes, and format for the type of competitive tournaments we offer. This year, we held 13 competitive tournaments. 11 of these tournaments contributed to our Silverado Men's Golfer of the Year. This program awards points for both performance and participation. The trophy being presented is a replica of the British Open Claret Jug. The Golfer of the Year award demands consistent, superior play and stamina. This year, I am pleased to award the Silverado Gentleman's Golfer of the Year award to Mr. Corey Senesvet. Corey, are you here? Hey, come on up here. Come on up, Corey. Don't be shy. Great play this year, Corey. Corey's an excellent golfer, obviously. Corey, thank you. Thank you so much. Congratulations. There we go. All right. That sums it up for men's golf. So thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you out there on the links.
Well, I'm the lucky one who gets to follow that voice up. So again, I just wanted to say, because I do a lot of the things that Dennis doesn't have time to do, and I chip in to help him out. So again, I want to thank Dave, Karen, Michael Butler for all your guys' help. Appreciate it. And David Walter for putting out a pretty damn good product. Well done on the golf courses. Thank you. So I'm part of the golf committee, and the golf committee's goal is basically to ensure that the members' on-course experience is one that is favorable for both the women and the men's golf. And what came out of this was, due to my good friend's recommendation here and others, was we could use a greens committee here. We haven't had one in quite some time. So I enlisted Rick Doring, thank you, Sandra Simon, our very own Peggy Morawski, and myself. So what we did with this committee is the first thing was created a suggestion box, in which I can say you people are not shy. So thank you. But it's encouraging that people care about what we're doing out here, right? It's our golf course, it's your golf course. And the only way we can make it better is getting feedback from you. So for that, the four of us with Dave Walter, Dave Karam, I want to thank you, because without your input, those people can't continue to improve what we have here. So please continue to take advantage of the box, because not only do we have one, but we have two superb golf courses here, and let's keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Okay, Kathleen is going to take over on the Q&A.
Hi. Okay, so we've got a series of questions here that many of you submitted ahead of time, and some of you have written them in here tonight. So I'm going to start, and I think the first one is directed towards Todd, and it's about my favorite subject, happy hour. Is it possible to alter happy hour to a later time, like 4 to 6? Many members still work, and a 3 to 5 period is challenging to utilize.
Anything's possible. I think we've talked about this at the board, and I think the board would like to move forward this maybe in next year, but is to have a house committee again and work with us on suggestions and improvements for what happens here in the clubhouse. I said it before, we're a for-profit company, so we don't really want to just put labor in somewhere that it's, the only person standing there is our employee. We want to do things that are going to be popular with the members, and that, we're going to have certainly enough revenue to cover our costs, at least on certain things like that. And in any, I can tell you, having worked in other private clubs, any private club in America, probably, if you look at their P&L, the loss leader is food and beverage. And so we really don't want to do that here. But we're certainly open to it. And again, it's as long as we're not having to add shifts and do different things like that. I think those are good discussions that we should have. And how do we add different events here? Happy to have those discussions.
Thank you. Next question. How many days were the golf courses closed in 2023 for any reason, including but not limited to outside golf tournaments that were scheduled on one of the golf courses on a Saturday, Sunday, or holiday? Todd, back to you.
So, sort of being repetitive, I think I talked about that earlier, but technically the golf courses were closed to all play 8 days each for aerification. And then it was, as I said, the North course was unavailable for 16 days, but the South course was available for the majority of that time during the tournament. And then for 4 days, it was reduced to 9 holes. But even during the Jazz Festival, the golf course, the South course was available member only for each of those days of that, while the driving range was closed. Outside of that, I think there's a definition for closed, right? If we have tournaments on a golf course, that golf course is not closed, it's just not available. So but okay, you can laugh, that's fine. But there is a section, and I've had it ad nauseum told me about Article 13. But Article 13 says that we have the, closure for members, resort guests, licensees, and invitees. And so we've never closed a golf course unless it's for maintenance. And so I think, again, I want to go back to, we're trying to do things to be able to continue to invest in the golf course and in the club and in the resort. I've heard from you that you don't like parking on the South golf course. Okay, I got that. We've heard that message, and we're going to work with the tournament to try and move that away again. But outside of that, there has been precedent here, and this has been going. These double course buyouts have been going on for more than a decade. I don't believe that we're doing anything different than anybody has done in the past and any board has approved in the past. And there might be some of you in the room that don't like that, and I'm sorry that you don't like that. But if you don't want us to do those, I've got to replace that $300,000 of revenue somehow. And to me, the only other way to do that would be to tack it onto dues, and I don't want to do that. And I don't think that any of you want that. So let's be adults, please. And so I'm answering the question of how many were closed. I've already told you we're not going to do we're not going to do the Jazz Festival next year and in the future. So I think I've answered that question. And again, I recognize not everybody likes every answer that I have. I get that, but there's a balance here, and we're trying to do the right thing overall. And some of us have certain things that we have to accept, and others don't like those things. I do understand that. But overall, we've got to be able to pay for these investments. And I think that's really important to all of us.
Thank you. Julia, you're on here. I've got a question about the newly formed bylaw committee. And the question is, recently a committee was formed to again review and revise our bylaws. When will the bylaw revisions be available for members to review? And when will this be voted upon by our membership? And who is accountable for this happening in a timely fashion?
That's a great question. I was recruited by Paul Turner in about the March timeframe last year to help with the bylaws. And he turned over to me the red line, blue line, green line, purple line versions from the 5 previous presidents over the many, many years that they had led committees similar to work on the bylaws. I'm optimistic. I spent the first several months trying to actually get all of that information in a compatible Word format because Word has changed over that period of time. And I also did a nice summary of what has been changed by each section of the bylaw. So everybody had a real clear this to that. So that was the groundwork that was formed in the first part of the year. In third quarter, we formed a bylaw committee that is working on it. And I am co-chairing that with Doug Carlson, Kathleen, and we've got Mark Cook from the board. We took a look at many people that are members in the members of Silverado, primarily with legal backgrounds. We went through a list of about 12 or 15, right, Doug? And we selected 2 gentlemen that we think represent the interests at large, and that would be Joe Rusnello and Bo Phillips. Both are very highly regarded, and they came onto the committee in that third quarter timeframe. We've had 3 or 4 meetings. Those meetings were focused on really 7 to 10 items that Paul had turned over to me that were suggestions that we needed to discuss that were not addressed by the previous regimes. And we have done that work. We've also, with the help primarily leadership of Joe, we have actually increased the definitions in the bylaws, including a definition for closure. I'll just give you a spoiler alert. We have not vetted that with the board. We haven't vetted it with KSL. Our next step, once we resume, assuming the outcome of tonight, would be getting our committee, getting things tied up in first quarter and start focus groups. So if anyone in this room wants to be involved in this process, I would love to have you volunteer for a focus group. We will be getting small groups of members together to go through what the work that's been done by very many people in the past and the present, and get your feedback. And if that all goes well, because I know that we have a motivated resort owner now that wants to work with us on updating the antiquated bylaws, we should be able to get this accomplished next year.
Thanks, Julia. Very answer. The next question, Mark, I'm going to throw this one at you because this is something that we've been hearing a lot about and we want to know about it. What is the current status of the initiative to create a digital tea time system for the membership?
We're close. This on currently in pilot, and the goal is to have it deployed to the membership by the end of January 24. So some good news. They just want to make sure, and I'll just share, is that they want to make sure the systems are working together instead of you having to log into 2 separate ones, only needing to log into one, so the experience is friendlier and better. So January 24, it's coming.
Thank you. Linda, I've got a question here that came from the audience tonight. When will you add beginners clinics for tennis or more frequently? And when will you separate the levels of tennis and pickleball? It says all levels welcome. However, beginners sometimes are not welcome and discouraged to come.
Okay, I'll start with the first part.
Okay.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. I know I'm catching you off guard here. I apologize. When will you add beginner clinics for tennis more
Oh.
frequently?
Well, when we have the players to support it. So they have run some beginner clinics, but they've also had to cancel some because they haven't had enough people signing up. So when we have enough players to support it, we will add more.
Okay. All right.
Okay, and then the second
The
part?
second one was, when will you separate the levels of tennis and pickleball? It says all levels welcome, but beginners are not welcome. and
Okay,
feel
I
discouraged.
disagree that beginners are not welcome. It's not a matter of welcome. It's a matter of everyone, I think, feeling comfortable on the court, having a good time on the court. I am, again, it sort of depends what happens tonight, but I do want to discuss with the board what our wording is in terms of levels of players being welcome. I certainly want everyone to be included and to be able to play when they want to play. We just have to make sure it's works for everybody on the court. Nobody gets hurt. Everybody has a good time. So it's a work in progress.
Thanks, Linda. All right, another one from the audience tonight. Who paid for outside counsel? And Doug, I'm putting this one to you as our finance guy. And the second part of the question is, did the alternate slate get to consult with him? And if not, why not?
Outside counsel was retained by the board on behalf of the club, principally to help with updating the bylaws. And as they are retained, they would also be involved in whatever other legal matters might come up to the board or to the club. So the club is paying for it, and it's coming out of the member activity fund, which is the general fund that covers the club's expenses.
And the second part of that question, Doug, was did the alternate slate get to consult with our outside counsel? Or maybe Jeff wants, I don't know, one of you two can answer that.
Yes, they did. We put Randy Barkin in touch with Michael Latif, who is the partner in charge of the relationship with us. So yes, they were
okay.
Put in contact.
Thank you. Jeff, this one's, I'm going to throw at you. Could we please appoint a dedicated board member to focus on the quality and offerings of food and beverage at the member clubhouse? The goal of this role should be to improve member attendance at the clubhouse and overall member satisfaction through improved food and beverage offerings.
Thank you. That's a very good question. Prior administration did away with the House Committee. The House Committee has been under social right now, which is social's got a very big job. Therefore, the House side has suffered. I have already talked to Todd earlier this year after becoming the acting president, and I suggested or asked Todd, could we reform the House Committee again, so that I would like the House Committee to have access to the food and beverage manager as well as the chef, because we want to improve the member experience in the clubhouse. Todd is open to giving us that access and being able to do it. So going forward, I think that the board should put back a separate House Committee. And I think that House Committee could have a wine club committee. It could have a food committee. It could be one, separate or together. But I think there's a way that we can work with the resort and with the food and beverage and the chef to come up with things that may appeal and get higher attendance on a regular basis in the clubhouse.
Thanks. Okay, Todd, I'm back at you again here. The noise level from gasoline blowers is too loud and seems constant. I hear this noise all the time while I'm playing golf. I think individual homeowners should talk to their gardeners. Is there any way we can require our gardeners to get electric blowers? I think this has been done in other golf communities.
That's an interesting question. Anybody from SPOA here? Okay, Con. Look, I think I'm going to answer it for the resort, but I think that is actually a question for the individual HOAs. If there are gardeners, because we don't hire them, the HOAs do. If their gardeners are using the old gas powered things, then they should change. There is a new law in California that any new purchases of blowers have to be electric. They are not allowed to buy gas ones. We have in our areas, which is primarily just around the mansion building, and here we have switched primarily to electric blowers. We will have difficulty with that on the golf course since we use big blowers that are on trailers. And I think, there is not an electric product out there that could do that today. So there would be a lot of leaves on the golf course. And I don't think any of you want that on the golf course. But we're certainly moving where we can on the areas that we are in charge of to electric. But I would suggest any of you know somebody from the different HOAs around, speak with those HOAs and they can talk to their landscape contractors.
Great, thank you. Julia. Why did you not include all 8 candidates on a single ballot? 6 from the board and 2 from the petitions. Why not? Okay, you answer that and then I got a second one.
Okay, I've been up here, but my understanding is the ballot, and I saw it, had 8 people on it in the back of the room. So the ballot does have all 8 qualified candidates for voting tonight.
So this is referencing then the proxies, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
The proxies are different for those people who did not submit a ballot here per the bylaws were encouraged to submit their proxies.
okay.
Yeah.
And why not an open forum tonight? Annual meetings have always had open forums. This is a sensitive time when members need transparency and proof of their support from the board.
We're trying to be efficient and use of your time and our time. And so hopefully we're getting all the questions out in this format and it will be more effective.
Okay, next, this is going to Jeff. KSL is a well-respected owner and operator of a resort properties, touting its expertise to squeeze value out of every inch of a property. Undoubtedly, there is a detailed multi-year plan for Silverado, culminating in an exit from the property after a certain number of years. To what extent does the board have knowledge of this plan and how it might impact the members? Are we adversaries or partners? In a knowledge vacuum, human nature is to anticipate the worst.
So the answer to the question is there is no plan at this point in time that has been presented to the board or to myself. In conversations with Todd, I know that just like in anything, there's a short-term, medium-term, and long-term planning. And Todd has shared with me things about the next, 1 year, 2 year. They are working on a long-term plan, but they don't have that plan done. And I'll let Todd speak to that because that's his plan, not my plan. But what I can say to you is that Todd has shared information about what they were, wanting to do. And when it comes time that he's able to share with us concepts and discussions where he feels comfortable that he can do that, then for an example, I can say to the possibility of shifting the first tee on the south course and the green related to some things going on down the road. No plans have been made, but when there is something, he does intend to share to get member feedback as to what they would do. So there is communication, but I can say that at this point, there's been no definitive plan given. So Todd, you want to go there?
The light's on, but nobody's home. I think that there was a perfect answer. We are working on a long-term plan, but there's a lot of cats to herd into a room for us. We've got different ownership groups, we've got management groups, we've got other architects and designers and everything. Right now we haven't been able to agree on anything. So I think it's and that's typical. I've been with this company 25 years. So plans like this, we take very seriously and we want to make sure that we are doing the right thing for Silverado in the long term. And I've said this, I think I even said it this last year. We have short, medium, long-term investments. So we're in the middle of the short and now we're kind of getting into the medium. So our medium being like an investment of renovating the conference center. Right. That's something that's going to last this resort 10 to 15 years. So we want to make sure we do it the right way. As we get into other things, such as, adding facilities, adding amenities, to Jeff's point, the conversation about the first tee on the south is all relative to what do we do with the bridge that fell apart, not to any of our fault, but Mother Nature took that away from us. So is the best idea to rebuild the bridge, or is the best idea from a safety perspective to move the tee box on the other side of the creek and change the golf course a little bit? That's something that we would come up with some thoughts and designs, and then sit with the Greens Committee and have the Greens Committee opine, and then take it out to focus groups and so on and so forth. But that's how we would do something like that. But we don't have anything to show you yet until we have that design and some of those plans. That's the longer term. We are owned by a private equity company. I know, I'm sure many of you have dealt with private equity groups in the past, but the world of PE has changed over the last decade. And what used to be a 5-year hold was pretty standard is not standard anymore. The last property I worked at when I was on property, the Hotel Del Coronado in San Diego, we held for 16 years. And so, like it or not, we're not going anywhere anytime soon. We love this investment. Our ownership group loves this investment. There's so much more that we can do with this to make it a better place for all members and guests and the local community. That's what we want to do. And so trust me when I say we're not going anywhere. Unless somebody wants to say you got $175 million, you want to buy it. Everything's for sale. But we're not really interested in selling. We are committed to that.
Thank you. Todd, one last question to you that just came in. What are the yearly revenues that are generated from member dues, revenue from membership for 2023?
I don't have my spreadsheet, but I did do this calculation for a prior board meeting, I think a couple meetings ago, to where I basically did a breakdown between the various classifications, looking at monthly dues, even golf cart permits, asking all that stuff. I think, obviously I don't have it in front of me, but I think the total revenue, and this was also with the quarterly food and beverage minimum attached to each membership classification, it was about $7.5 million. I think that's about what the number was, just off the top of my head. So, but I did do that math. I shared it with the board on that end. So that number, I can't tell you what KSL or what Silverado brings in. Todd doesn't share that number with the board, but I'll let Todd tell you whether he wants about how the dues are.
You're pretty close. That's all I'm going to share.
Thanks. All right, one more question here. Wait, let me see. I've got two here, but I'm going to see here. Okay. It's very nice for Silverado to do the great membership appreciation party. If possible, it would be very nice not to have it on a holiday weekend like Thanksgiving. It's a big family weekend and challenging to leave family behind to attend a members only event. Maybe something after the holidays in January would be nice while the resort is still in a slower period. Todd? You want?
I'll answer that. I'm certainly open to changing that, but there's a few caveats. One of those is because there's so many people that come, the only place we can do it is in the ballroom. And if we want to do it at the holiday time, that can't be on a weekend because we sell the ballroom and it's a profit center for us. And obviously we pay for that dinner, and I would be replacing a revenue night with a non-revenue night from that perspective. So we would, if we wanted to do it the holidays, we would probably need to move it to a weekday. We could also move it earlier in the year if we wanted to do it in October or some other time. We're open to that, but I think the same issue is we've got to find the right time, place for do it. It's been, I came 2 years ago. I think it's been done that Saturday night forever. And so we opted not to make any changes to that, but we're open to that discussion if that's what the membership wants. And I think, to me, that's a great opportunity for a house committee to maybe do a survey to the membership and what is the overwhelming preference of people, understanding that we got some restrictions and we want to work with you, but we again, we're still a for-profit company, and I'm just being transparent that we need weekends to be able to sell for Christmas parties and other things. So I don't think that's unreasonable. But if we want to move it, I'm open to that. We just got to find the right time and place. So that's the answer to that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Do we have? Okay, Todd has results. All right, so now it's down to the final ballot here. Todd?
Sure. So I just received from PricewaterhouseCoopers. And the Academy Award goes to, did anybody bring a speech? No. I'm joking, but it is serious. I get that. So we had obviously 8 folks on the list here. The top 6 vote getters are, and this is in no specific order of numbers, but I'm just going to read them. Julia Smith, Mark Cook, Mallory McElligott, Randall Barkin, Tim Teachin, sorry, don't know how to say that name, and Matt McAvoy. So as secretary, as I said to you before, I have no dog in this hunt. I will work with anybody, and I really look forward to those conversations about the bylaws. And so the process will be simple. Those 6 people will come with me into a meeting room right after this meeting, and we will self-elect the president, vice president, and treasurer of the board. And then the president will then assign committee chairs from that point on. We will also, just like, and this is maybe a little bit confusing for folks, but because it's not really addressed in the bylaws, it's pretty silent. But the new board will then assign or volunteer or negotiate, whatever word you want to use, terms. So everybody at this point has voted for a 3-year term, but because the bylaws do call for a rotational basis, we have some that'll be a 1-year term, some that'll be a 2-year, some that'll be a 3-year. So just as the old board on their slate had recommended those terms, the new board that has now been elected will do the same in another meeting. And that will probably be their first meeting in January. If the board elects that they want to do a meeting before their normal regularly scheduled meeting, that's fine, that's up to them. But that's how the terms will then be determined by that new board of those 6, of the 6 that were elected and the 3 that are continuing on. I hope that's clear to everybody. As secretary, like I said, I'm not a voting member. So I want to thank everybody for their votes. I apologize that it's been confusing. I think the board tried with council's suggestions and advice to stay as close to the bylaws as possible. There's a lot of things that aren't represented in the bylaws. And as part of the bylaws committee, they're going to try to clean some of that up in the future. So we will go by that process. And if I could, after this meeting, the 9 new directors, please join us in the Luna room to select officers. So with that, Jeff, I'll turn it back over to you.